Welcome everybody, Steve here. Well, today we're going to have fun in the shop. And I'm going to build something a little different. You've probably seen those things on the internet. You know, you go down and you can clean the radiator on your truck. So I got this old piece of copper pipe. So I thought to myself, well, I just got myself a half-inch pipe to half-inch national pipe thread, and then I just got an adapter so I can just go to you know, hose thread. Simple. So I just have to solder that on, flatten this out because it's usually pretty tight when you're getting into your radiator. And I know the reason. So I changed the radiator out on my 08 Colorado. This is like a year and a half ago. And I don't do very much gravel, but when I pulled my old radiator out, it was just caked. I had a friend, I told him, I says, you gotta keep your radiators clean. So he bought one of those little ones. I haven't seen it yet, but he went and cleaned his out. Now the codes are gone. So basically, you know, it's one of the things that doesn't ever get done. And it's hard to get in there and wash. And using a pressure washer, you gotta be careful because, you know, a pressure washer can actually damage the fins, especially if you have an aluminum radiator. Well, either radiators, you know, they're copper or aluminum, it's soft stuff. So, gonna hook it up to the garden hose, and then you're gonna be able to control, you know, actually how much force you want to, you know, want to go through. Now I know that I'm hooking straight up. You know, maybe this will be the you know, the first one I build. Maybe what a guy needs to do is, you know, you've got this half-inch pipe thread here. You could actually put on another bib like this and actually have a, you know, an off-on. That might actually be a little bit smarter. But for today, I don't have an off-on, I don't have a valve, so we're just gonna make this. I can adjust it however I want later on. I just gotta prove to myself it's gonna work first. So I got this old chunk. I actually bought a new piece, but we had a piece in our copper bin, and I'm just gonna cut it up. Probably gonna go about 30 inches. You don't want it too long, because you gotta remember, you gotta get it up and I don't know, but I think 30 is going to be just right on. So we're going to give this a cut. Normally, you know, I bring out all the fancy tools and cut it. This is the only fancy tool I got in the shop right now. That over there, get it out of the way. It can be whatever length. 24 is probably even good enough. But you can always chop it down. That's gonna work. All right, so we need one good end so we can solder this on there. But before I do any soldering, let's hammer this out. Now, I'll just go grab my, I'll use my body hammer. Okay, let's give it 4 inches before we start hammering this thin. You can always go more if you want, but I think 4 is going to be good enough. Just find yourself a nice flat surface here, and let's start pounding. Now, let's get off all this stuff. It's going to fall off here. Now, I think the worst thing you can do is just start wailing on this. Take your time. Okay, we kind of got it flattish. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the opportunity and drill a couple holes, I think. That way it might make it a little easier to drill. Now, what we're going to do to the end here is I'm going to flatten it out and we're going to fold it over on itself and I'm going to solder it. So if I come up, I think if we do, let's do 3 holes. So we'll start at 2, 3, 4. Maybe 4 holes. Okay, now what size? I'm thinking I'm going to go 8-inch. I can always go bigger, it's tough to go smaller. So I'm trying to keep it as consistent as I can, width-wise. Of course, we're going to flatten that out, but you don't want to flatten it too much or there's going to be no water running through there. But you want it nice and thin so you can get it in between your, your condenser and your radiator. I'm going to go a little more. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, of course, if this is still too thick, this is about, I'm under 1/4 of an inch. So if you needed it thinner, you could still pound a little bit more out of that. But you can see that, you know, there's still lots of room for water. So now I'll flatten this end up so I can fold it over. Just cut an edge here. Which side do I want to go on? Doesn't matter, I guess. Gonna put it on the floor, bend it over a little bit, and then I think what I'm gonna do is just gonna clean this up with the buffer first before I bend that over. Copper has to be cleaned before you solder it up anyway. So I'm just gonna run around the buffer, be right back. Yeah, and then we'll just put a nice little bead right there. It's got some 80 grit here. Get it all cleaned up. Looks good. Okay, we'll just have to clean this end up here so we can solder everything up. Now, if you really wanted to, you could put one of those, you know, sharp grip things on there if you wanted to. I just like the whole idea of soldering. We gotta solder this anyway. So, okay, let me get set up. Be right back. And we'll just put a little bit of flux on there. Should be good. I have my solder here. My trusty flame. Well, out there is a thing of beauty right there. That's gonna work. Even though this is just brass and it's all nice and shiny, still gotta rough it up. So I have one of these little brushes here that's made specifically for this. That should be good. Yeah. Let's put a little bit of solder on here. Or flux before we solder. Just like yonder. And if you can weld like this or solder like this, it's a little easier. Problem is this will sink some of the heat. So let's just go like this. It'll work. All right, let's get a close up. Yeah, I've done videos where I've done some soldering. People ask me, why do you solder? Because I really like it. So you should throw some Teflon on there. We're gonna give it a try here first. This is brass on brass. Pipe thread, you shouldn't have to. But that's an easy fix later if we have to. Some of these fittings just don't work very well anymore. Okay, I think we're ready to try that out. Put a hose on that, see how she sprays. Okay, moment of truth here. Just make sure I don't spray that in the camera. Oh yeah, look at that. That's perfect. That's spraying about 12 feet out there. I think it's gonna work. Okay, I'm just gonna throw this underneath to see what we catch. And Kevin's gonna turn the water on. Now what I had to do here is I just loosened off my condenser just a tiny bit. This did fit in there, but just give me a little bit more room. All right, fire her up. Just gonna leave that in there for a second. Gotta get to the spot where she's leaking out. This is working out really, really good. Now it takes a long time to do this, so don't just think you can do it in 10 seconds. Whoops. Not too bad. Okay, we're gonna wash the condenser now. I know I'm gonna get wet here. We need to have a definitely need to have a valve on here. Can't really show you exactly because you can see it comes shooting right through there. Every time I move to a different spot, I got a lot of cooties coming out of there. Just got to be careful you're not dragging it along the edge of your condenser or radiator. Yeah, there's lots of stuff coming out of there. I'll do this. Alright, it's hard to see, but If I bring it over here, you can see the water shoot right through the condenser there. So the condenser is starting to become nice and clean now. Still see some brown stuff coming out. Oh, you can see that. Oh yeah, that's really nice. Alright, I am getting wet. Oh yeah, that's really dirty there. Now this wasn't really in a good spot to catch the water. It was going everywhere. You can see how much sand, muck, and that's just that one little tiny spot. My camera just stopped for some reason. And I just cleaned out. This is all in here with mud. And I didn't do a very good job of getting that exactly where the water was coming out. But if it was just one little spot, there's a lot of mud that came out of there. Well worth it. Okay, we're just doing the Little Brothers diesel here. You can see all the water just gushing through. We're just doing the tranny cooler right now. Just got started. And what we did do, we did take the top of the fan shroud off so we can get at the radiator really well. Yeah, we need definitely need a turn off valve. Give you a bit of a demonstration here. See, it just goes right through the radiator. When that's going clean, you're good to go. Even this one's got a little bit of dirt in it. It's been laying around forever. Well, you know what? I have to say this is probably the easiest little project that I've had to build for a long, long time. And, you know, you definitely need to put in a little valve here, and that's going to be that's easy. You just buy one that goes in here, and the one that and then you got the female side on the other side. But I am very impressed how this works. And this is you know, you say, oh, you don't need to clean your radiator, you can do it in the car wash. It does not do a very good job. You have to get in there, spend some time, and just be thorough. You know, even a little bit of dirt on your radiator, you know, affects, you know, how it cools. So, you know, if you do this once a year, you know, you don't have to do it all the time, unless of course you live on some gravel or something, then you do it a lot more. But I'm really happy with that. You know what? I'm into it for about, I don't know, $8, something like that. So that's not too bad. Anyway, I'm happy. And I got my radiator cleaned, my brother's radiator. I think we're ready. Except it's the end of summer, but that's okay. Your engine's got to cool in the winter time too. So that'll be it for this project. So until next time, stay tuned. Alright, upgrade. I put a valve on here. You just have to have one of these, you know, female to female ends. and you're good to go. Much better. The biggest thing is, if you have to keep going back to the tap and turn it on and off, you're just gonna get wetter. There you go. Done.